Welcome back to the Jeremiah Show. We're spending an hour here, uh, grabbing the time when we can from Matt Pinfield. Thank you so much, Matt, for being here. I'm feeling like I got the energy from you from this life in music. I'm watching you a little bit at our breaks here. You are just a busy, busy man, and it's all about the music. So let's talk about music a little bit. Um, where do you think you're going to fit in the history books in the last decade of music? What do you think people will say about you? I know what they're saying about you right now, but what do you hope they say about you? What do you hope
I
people
mean,
get from knowing you?
honestly, how I feel about it is, if I've made a connection one to one with somebody, and that's the most important thing. My girlfriend had, worked in video production, and her name is Kara, and she says to me, she goes, I've been around much more famous people than you, but she goes, but I've never seen more people stop someone and say how you affected their lives. And that's a beautiful thing. That's what's important to me. Like, I'm not really worried about how that the history side looks. I've been recognized by the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, the
Yeah.
20 minutes, thing on the wall, and I've gotten a bunch of awards. But what's most important is the connection that I made to other human beings, to make them understand and feel that they are not alone when they are music enthusiasts, passionate about music, and that might set the direction of their lives. And at the very least, if I've turned them on an artist that's very important to them, that's the most beautiful thing to me. I still love that I can give somebody that feeling that I got from music. And I think
Mhm.
the thing that's beautiful too is, and it's been discussed in many times, but I definitely did not look like any other VJ when I went on the air, but I was so passionate about music, and MTV was so surprised when they got their research back, and and they found out that people really, like, they were blown away, which is why they put me on the air more, because I felt like somebody's next door neighbor or best friend telling them about music that they should check out and that I loved. So, I got to give MTV credit for never ever trying to change the person I was, and just still letting me be myself. And that was a really incredible experience for me. It's afforded me an incredible life of experiences. I mean, I don't have a lot of money. I heard, but that was, for me, I was never in it for the money. I mean, I was in it because I love music, and I've been very fortunate and blessed to I'm doing radio professionally for over 40 years now. If you count college, it's like 44. I did my first MTV fill-in show in 93 with Depeche Mode, and then back with Oasis and Metallica and everybody in 95. I never thought I would be on TV again after the first time. I filled in. They told me I did a great job. And then I eventually became manager of music programming at MTV. So I helped pick the videos. I was
Mhm.
the guy who was picking the videos and fighting for artists of every genre. And then they said to me, "Hey, you were pretty good that time. We're going to put you back on the air for 3 weeks. We'll see how it goes." And then it just everything changed, my life
So
trajectory.
does it surprise you when I tell a story like I did in the beginning, or when you hear people come up to you and they really have connected, you've connected to them through a screen, through a radio, in their car, through their headphones. That
I'm
doesn't
real.
surprise you.
I'm still. You know what? I never get tired of hearing it. I got to tell you that I love that human connection. If I've touched somebody that way with music in their heart, or just either just made them discover a great band, or made them decide they wanted to work doing radio or with music, or it took them, it got the creative direction flowing, then that's the greatest gift of all for me, that I could do something positive for people. Because there's so much negativity out there. For me, music unites, and I love the medium of radio. And it's been great. It's been an incredible experience for me. I know that radio at times struggles because there are so many. It's still the way a lot of people get music.
Yeah.
It's underrated that way, but I mean there are so many different ways of content delivery now, which is understandable. So, you know, But I love radio. I've loved doing TV, the Power Hour show we do on AXS TV. And then the other things I'm in, like the Top 10 Revealed and Music Mayhem, that's fun. And, I'm about to, I'm going to be in, they're shooting Chris Cornell documentary. I've been to Jeff Buckley documentary that'll come out. I'm in the Lollapalooza documentary that's coming out. I've been in a lot of documentaries, and I'm shooting a Peter Frampton one on Tuesday, Monday. So I love. I'm so happy that people want to hear my opinion and backstory, and what I've learned about music history through love. Like for me, it's not like baseball stats. Like where I'm like, well, yeah, I do know that record came out super unknown in '94, and the first single was Spoon Man, and then it was Black Hole Sun and Fell on Black Days and The Day I Try to Live. Yeah, I can give you all that info, but that's not what it's about for me. That's great to know that it's the emotional connection, why the songs were written, and how the music makes someone feel and connects with them. And I feel the same way about that. Like, a Soundgarden thing is an AC/DC record. I remember when I got, as High Voltage and Let There Be Rock when I was a kid, and I was like in love with that, or Thin Lizzy, And me and you mentioned Bon Jovi. It's funny, me and him recently we were bonding over Thin Lizzy and Tom Petty. But so it was like, and he grew up in the town next to me. I used to work at a bar with Richie Zambora, the guitar player.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you mentioned back in the beginning there when we started this conversation that you just love lyrics and you love melodies and all that. Do you ever think in melodies, or excuse me,
Oh
think
yeah,
in
I do
lyrics?
think in
Like
music.
think.
Lyrics are like the most important thing in the world to me because, it's I've always felt that listening to lyrics, helps you make sense of your life, of loss of relationships. Also, those lyrics can give you strength and understanding. They can also reflect on things that are going on in the world and the world around you. If you feel hurt, burned, empowered, happy,
Mhm.
absolutely brokenhearted and devastated, there's a song out there for you somewhere. And I think that's what we're looking for, all the time. But
That's
there's
a
also
quote.
the
That's a
way
good quote.
you know, and there's also a way the music makes you feel. You know what I mean? Which is
Well,
why, yeah.
are you protective of your playlist? I mean, do you get where they're too
Well, it's
personal
not
to
even.
share?
It's really interesting. People ask me to share them a lot, and like here's a perfect example for me. The lists of by decade that are in my book were just what I was thinking of that day that I put them together.
Hmm.
And that changes all the time. So I don't think there's a definitive list. I do my best. And, like I was recently doing a podcast with George Thorogood's daughter. And George is such a great guy. And I loved his first two albums. Like they didn't sound like anything else when they came out on Rounder Records because they were so raw and nasty. And it was like Delaware guys doing blues, but he, as he said to me, he was looking for songs that not everybody else covered. And, but I was going to say that on her podcast, I literally changed the songs so many times and we turned it into a, two-parter because to explain some songs, but that, that idea changes every day because every day I
Yeah.
wake up with a song on my head. Every day I want to hear something. I literally like as much as I do all these different radio shows, I also will come home and play records and listen to playlists and listen to like cool stuff and
And it
albums.
really all depends on your mood and the emotion that you're going through at that moment, right? The thought process or how you're
Absolutely.
feeling. So it's really hard to put together like a list. I know of like top artists or top songs, but I'm wondering, you again, I want to mention you gave us this playlist is yours. You gave this playlist that we're playing throughout the show today, and I really appreciate that. We have to take our final break here, Matt, but would you mind if we went through this playlist real quickly?
Yes.
And
I came up
maybe
with it last night in the bathroom, and it always changes. I love that 7 songs. It's really hard to pick them, but
I
I'll
appreciate that you said this to me like at 12 in the morning.
yeah.
The
And I was
bathroom, I
still
appreciate
working.
that's how you're feeling. Rolling Stones, Paint It Black. What's that mean to you? What's
Well,
that song mean to you?
I love Paint It Black. It was an album, Aftermath, that I bought at the flea market, when I was a kid. But I love that song. There's many Stone songs that mean a lot to me. But
Rebel,
I love
David
Painted
Bowie.
Black, and I find it fascinating that it's their most streamed song of all time. I thought there's something really cool and dark about it. The Middle Eastern, instrumentation that Brian Jones brought to the song. But I just love the song. I just like, it's a song that represents an outsider, and it's dark and it's cool.
Yeah.
And for me, it's an important song. But there are so many Rolling Stones songs. It was that, or I was going to pick a Beatles song like Ticket to Ride. I didn't know, it depends on your mood. So
Right.
I picked up, but I love Painted Black. And I think it's amazing that historically there was a long time where you didn't really hear that often on radio, on FM radio, yet it's still the most streamed Rolling Stones song.
It's a great song. One of the songs that you chose is one of my favorite songs, In Between Days by The Cure. That's just got such a
I have,
great,
'cause I have so many alternative records that I love. Couldn't, but In Between Days for The Cure, I could have picked so many. I could have picked a Forest or Primary but I love In Between Days because I just think it's that feeling of kind of like, just being in between, things in life and relationships. And it's got a beautiful guitar part, but it's very melancholy and sad. And in the middle of I generally love The Cure. I interviewed Robert Smith, when I was in college radio. I used to go and sneak backstage and interview him or Paul Weller from the Jam, or I remember Henry Rollins from Black Flag coming into my college radio show. Like I had everybody, Duran, back in those days in the early 80s. And that was like mid 80s, 80, 85 when In Between Days came out, and 85, 86. But I just have always loved that song. And I had to pick something like that. And I just said, last night I was thinking about it. That's always been a favorite of mine. It's from the album, The
soundtrack.
And and Robert Smith, I interviewed, like I said, I before the days of like you could call anywhere, long distance calls used to cost a lot of money, and there was only a phone company. There were no cell phones, and I used to use the college radio at Rutgers University phone to call England to find the managers of bands and ask them if I could interview these bands, and then I'd show up in New York City when they would get there. And like with a little tape recorder. I remember going there.
That's great.
Robert Smith, The Cure.
How'd the radio station manager like that phone bill?
I don't think they ever saw it because it's university. My guess is it's kind of like lumped in with everything else, so a buried expense.
God, the differences, but you made it work. Matt Pinfield, he's been my special guest this hour. You made it happen, Matt. You made it happen for so many people, music artists and music lovers alike. Matt Pinfield, he's on 88.5 FM, the SoCal Sound. Weekday afternoons, 2 to 6. You can go to SoCalSound.org, check it out. And also new and improved on KLOs 95.5 FM Sundays at 8 p.m. We'll be right back for our last segment with Matt.